Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Hello and welcome to the next session of TEDxLahore 2025. As you've heard, I'm Ben Warrington, so I'm the British High Commission representative here in Lahore. My job is all about strengthening the UK's links with this province, Punjab, and identifying new opportunities where we can work together on key issues, which means platforms such as this, TEDx, are exactly the right place to be having these sort of conversations. Now, many of you will already be aware that the UK and Pakistan are already close partners on the issues of climate change, with many shared values, many shared priorities. What is clear is that Pakistan, unfortunately, is one of the most vulnerable countries in the world to climate change. This year's floods have tragically claimed over 1,000 lives across the country, along with countless homes, livestock and agricultural land. The regularity of major floods in Pakistan also seems to be increasing. In 2009, the floods there focused primarily on the northern areas, whereas when we had the floods in 2022, a whole third of the country was underwater. Of course, floods are not the only climate or environmental issue that we are all facing today. The list is endless. We have rising temperatures, drought, glacial melts, freak hailstorms, forest fires, and of course here in Lahore, smog. Long-term adaptation and resilience is absolutely essential, which is why I'm very excited, and perhaps overly excited, to be taking on a slightly different role today as interviewer rather than interviewee. We're privileged to have with us on stage Miss Romina Khurshid Alam, who since April 2024 has been coordinator to the Prime Minister on climate change and environmental coordination. Romina, a massive thank you for being here with us today, and I'm really looking forward to hearing your insights.
Thank you very much. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum and very good evening to all the ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, so I think for the first question, we're currently sat here in Punjab. It's entirely appropriate that we start with the floods. So, much is being done at the provincial level, the federal level. Of course, there's lots of NGOs supporting the immediate response that we have here. But given the increase in floods, in droughts, in heat waves, what concrete steps is the ministry taking to sort of strengthen early warning systems, enhance community preparedness, and ultimately build climate resilient infrastructure in those high risk areas?
Thank you very much for this question, Ben. When we talk about the floods, it's not about the 2022. It's not about that how much has been, other natural calamities and challenges Pakistan has faced, vulnerability, and now the 2025 floods, the more disaster which we have gone through. Like I've met the families from in 2022 and still going on from different provinces. And one thing which I really wanted to share that, it's very important to understand that after the 18th Amendment, the provinces are they are doing their own work. But our job, my job or the ministry job is to do the coordination among all the provinces on the national and the international way. If you talk about the concrete steps, but before that, it's very hard to tell that when I met the families, their question is that what is going to happen next year? Will our homes going to be washed away under the water? And will we have to start from the next year again? So it is, very heartbreaking. And of course, we owe it to them. And in that way, of course, who lives under the constant fear that how we can make their lives better and how we can work to make them protect. And in that way, I really wanted to share that we are upgrading our early warning systems and which was NDMA is working very well, and with the coordination of the PDMAs and DDMAs to do more early warning mechanism to save the more lives. And then, we are training the local volunteers and moreover local people, they can respond quickly and more faster in that way. And of course, we are investing in the resilient infrastructure as well. That how, to elevate the roads, drainage systems, and these all the ways. Of course, the provinces in Punjab also, every province is doing much more greater their job in their capacities. And moreover, where it's ever needed, the Federation is very much into there. And this is not only about just infrastructure. Of course, that is something to bring the people out from that fear that hopefully they will not have to start again and again. And of course, on that way, we are trying our level best.
I think we're all hoping for that, aren't we? So I suppose the next question then, almost taking a step back from the immediate response to the floods, as you say, is, Pakistan stands on the absolute front line of the climate crisis that is impacting the whole world in different ways. What are the government of Pakistan's sort of primary strategies, targets, to both, I suppose, mitigate emissions and ultimately adapt to what will be an escalating impact over the coming years?
When I think all about Pakistan's climate, journey, I always go in that way back to 2022 floods, and then, of course, the 2025 floods. Of course, even in these, we have seen entire villages underwater, homes disappeared, farmers, they have lost their crops, livelihoods. People like, the tragedy is in front of all. And if you talk about the two major steps, as you have already mentioned about the mitigation when you talk, so the two major steps which are very much clear, that is, one is the mitigation and the adaptation. And when we talk about the mitigation, of course, to reduce the entire, the footprints of the carbon footprints, and to bring towards the green economy, green way, climate smart agricultures, urban forestation, urban ways, and how to look after the forest as well. And same goes in the adaptation side, and to give the awareness as well towards the people that how they can make the resilient infrastructures as well. So, and of course in the policy as well.
Fantastic. And I suppose something that perhaps you didn't mention there is the sort of role of international partners. International climate finance commitments exist and have been made in the context of Pakistan. But I think we all know that local organisations here in Pakistan sometimes struggle to access them. So I suppose what specific mechanisms exist, or the ministry perhaps is able to develop, to ensure that sort of climate funding reaches grassroots communities and organisations in Pakistan and the region?
Well, I really wanted to give us such a brief answer on that, but of course, because of the time, I'll not go into those details. But when we talk about the international funding availabilities and about, of course, the local organizations are working very well, and of course, international partners we do have, and really, when we talk about the UK as well, of course, we're working so much closely on the climate change subject. And of course, I'm really thankful for the new launch of along with the British Cambridge, in which the school's idea of the education and the portals, which was one of my dream, which we have got a success recently on that. So too often, global meetups when we meet on the climate funding ways. So most of the things at times it stays in the boardrooms, and but far from the communities, it's been in the struggling phase. But when it comes to the climate financing in as Pakistan Ministry of Climate Change, you ask my role or the ministry role is. So I really wanted to share that the Ministry of the Climate Change and the Environmental Coordination, we work as a national designated authority, in which we try the green climate funds to get transferred and to make the way easier for the local organization, and not only for the NGOs and for the private corporate sectors as well. We have few examples on that as well, which we have recently done in the very few months back as well. So in that, we're trying to help the local NGOs that the flow of the money should go towards easily and quicker to them, and that it should not have more breaks into it. So wherever the things needed. So in the last COP as well, we have tried in that way to engage more over the national and international organizations to become a bridge among them. So the path should be more easier for them.
Fantastic. And as you say, this is about taking very technical, sometimes quite dry policy into impact on the communities.
You said those words which I wanted a little wide, yeah.
I'm not very diplomatic.
Thank you.
So I suppose continue with the theme of communities. The evidence sadly shows that sort of climate change and some of the major events that happen with it disproportionately impact Pakistan's most vulnerable communities and populations. So are there sort of social protection programs or strategies that the government can implement or is already implementing to support those affected communities and ensure what we call a just transition?
Well, this is something very important on which you have asked the question, because, when climate disasters or natural calamities hits, it hits the hardest, and it hits to the most poorest. Like the farmers, they lost their crops. The villages, and even now we have seen urban communities as well, and especially the most vulnerable marginalized communities. And I would really want to say over here, the most sufferers are the women and the children. In anywhere, if you go, the most painful thing, the woman or the family, they make the home. And it took years, but with the climate disasters, it took us seconds to be vanished. So and we have seen in the past, like, in 2022 floods, we have seen the mothers, they have, lost their children, the children lost their parents. And that, whenever it comes, we all think about the data, or we calculate the amount of the loss, but nobody calculate the traumas which the families, which the people go through. And it took years and years, and sometimes we couldn't get out from those traumas because we don't have that much facilities. But when it comes to the government, and when it comes to the solutions on how to cater and what sort of a social protection, so as we know that in Pakistan, the most vulnerable country in Pakistan, when we have the climate action plan, and that we are that combined with a social protection, we have a very successful example of the Benazir income support program, in which we are trying our level best to support and to help to those poorest communities, and to educate them, and especially to the women, the most vulnerable community, how we can help them, support them in the health and in all those way, and to make sure that social protection, that social things should get towards them, and they could get more benefited from that. And in that, more, and to make them more towards greener agriculture, infrastructure, and to provide the green the jobs, and in that way, and not to create more volunteers, to create more the people to educate and to make them aware about the climate challenges and how they can handle it.
And I suppose related then, a question that I often hear, and my British High Commission colleagues and all of our counterparts in the British Council, is how we can sort of support the inclusion of youth in the response. So are there sort of specific platforms, programs, initiatives that the ministry is fostering for youth engagement in climate policy, decision making? You've got many in the audience right here today who are sure will be very interested in your response.
So it's all the youth is there, right? And consider today I'm feeling like little youth as well. But anyways, and one thing which left, you just asked previously, the just transition. So in that just transition, we are trying our level best that no one left behind, all should be, been into that thing. But coming back to the youth, of course, I believe very strongly wherever I go in Pakistan, because last year as well for the COP, when I went to entire Pakistan by the program by the name of the COP Simulation, I met people like youth from the schools, colleges, universities, and I was thrilled, and I'm thrilled with their energy. They are talking about the solutions, they are talking about the work. So in that way, and not only the youth, I will talk about the children as well, because youth, everybody say, I have a little disagree, but please forgive me, that youth is the future. I believe they are the present. They are the now. The future is the children. And I was literally impressed with the children of all 4 provinces, and including AJK and Gilgit-Baltistan, when I used to go towards them, and the way they talk about the climate change and the issues and solutions. So it's really, and I feel I gathered the energy from there. And not only me, of course, all our ministry and the people over there, and even the Prime Minister, he always mentioned about the youth and tried to focus more on them. So we try to engage them moreover towards in the universities, in the schools, and the colleges, to engage them and to promote them for the startups as well. And in the different ways, and especially I wanted to say that not to bring them as the volunteer. I have done that, and of course in the last COP and other as well, to give them the seat to talk about and discuss about the policy and negotiations, to come up with the discussions and to be the part of that. In the most NDCs, we all know that. So we try to engage more of the youth into that, and offering them the trainings, green skills, and towards the green infrastructures, and however, in a way, even in the loan schemes as well. So in that way, yes, they've been promoted highly in that way.
Fantastic. And if anyone disagrees, come and find us at the break to ask your own questions. But I suppose your stuff around green jobs, etc., is really important. So I suppose the final question. We've talked a lot so far about policies and strategies. And perhaps when you put together 2 officials, that is always going to be the case. But all of these initiatives are ultimately all going to work when they get the sort of buy-in and support of the general public, those individuals on the ground who are feeling it most. So I suppose my last question is around, what is the ministry, the wider government, at both the sort of federal and provincial levels doing to sort of educate the public about climate risks and sort of empower citizens to feel as though they are evolved to adopt sustainable practices?
Well, as you have mentioned before about the policy thing, I strongly believe that policy alone can't work. every individual matters a lot. Policies are there, things are there, acts are there, but we need to come up as an individual, because now it's not about everyone. It's not my win. It's not about your win. It's our win. As in the beginning, I've said that we all need to think about that we are not only one citizen of one country, we are now the planet's citizen also as well. We have to think that responsibility as well. But coming from the awareness side, from the Ministry of the Climate Change and Environmental Coordination, I wanted to share over here that in the universities, colleges, and really I wanted to share because there is all the youth is sitting over here, that first of its own kind of the Green University is going to be in very soon. One of its own kind is going to be. In that, we are trying to promote lots of the green skills, trainings, mechanisms, and lots of education and solutions and different sort of things which they're going to be over there. And if you talk about the awareness, of course, we all have seen that now in this coming years, everyone mostly is starting to talk about, like, now people are more trying to know about the climate change, about the heat waves, about the challenges, issues. So in that, of course, the awareness campaigns, not to waste the water, stop the plastic use, going towards, and I'm trying to be engaged more because I know youth knows already, but I'm really impressed with the children because I would really want to share that a 4-year child, if she can change the whole scene of her home, of course we all can do. So in that awareness campaigns we are going, the government is trying their level best, all the 4 provinces. Of course, this is now it's very much important to educate and to practice, because if you're not going to practice, start doing the practice, the losses are. If the win is going to be together, the loss is going to be together as well. So I think it's moreover important. So in that social media campaigns, media, and I really want to thank from this forum to all those organizations, no matter the big ones are already there, but all those small individuals and all organizations who are putting their whole heart to give the awareness to the people, and every individual matters a lot. And as if it's your last question, I hope so, I always say this, Ben, that together we can win. Together we can learn more. But again, it's not I, it's not you. If we are going to work together as us, it can bring more greener and brighter and clear picture and future for Pakistan and for all the globe as well.
Thank you, thank you. That definitely deserves a round of applause, and it's something we can all agree with going forward. So thank you very much, Romina, for your honesty and insights. I think it's fair to say that there's much still to do in this space, and there's literally no time to waste. So I hope we can both be sat here again in 12 months' time, highlighting fantastic examples of progress that has been made at both the provincial and federal levels. And perhaps some of those might even be started in the conversation we're having here today. So bahut shukriya, thank you everyone, and thank you again, Romina.